Hi, I'm Annalisa from Eye Candy Quilts, and we are doing our 30 Days of Dopamine Challenge, which is just a fun thing we've put together to remind you to stop, drop, and make something because we all need to work with our hands. And today we are talking to the wonderful Heidi Parkes that I have stalked for a long time. And she is an artist and a quilter and a certified yoga instructor, which does make sense the more that we talk about it. So Heidi, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. I similarly have been stalking you for years, and you make me laugh all the time with your funny
Thank
reels,
you.
especially.
Yeah, we should tell my husband that because he's like, "You just think you're funny." I'm like, "No, no. No, no, my friends do too." I was
Mhm.
like, "They may be the quilting equivalent of dad jokes, but no, no, people think we're funny." So,
Very funny.
yeah. So where are you? Because as we've been, chatting and getting this all set up as like I know you from, you were in Chicago and doing other things and then, you know, now you're someplace else. So where are you right now?
I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I've been here since 2015, and I am currently in my home, which is normally my usual place to be, but I'm also doing an artist residency right now in Milwaukee at the Pfister Hotel. It's a year-long residency. So if on other occasions you see me with blue walls in the background, then I'm at the hotel, but this is my house.
That's cool. So what do you do for just because again, as I'm sitting here with my fake Zoom background so you don't see my mess of fabric behind me, what do you do for an artist residence? Because that sounds I want to do that. So
Yeah,
maybe
it's the most ambiguous term in the world. You could just declare that you're doing an artist residency and it could be happening. I really adore following the hashtag um, art, artist residency and motherhood. So
Oh.
it's just how do you make art while being a mother? It's really, I'm not a mother, but it's very interesting to see how folks manage that. And residencies, sometimes you pay to be an artist in residence, other times
Mm.
you get paid. Sometimes you travel somewhere and sleep in a strange place, other times you stay at home. And so in this instance, for a year, all of 2024, I'm being paid by the hotel to lift up my home studio practice and plop it down in a bit of a fishbowl in the main hallway on the first floor of the hotel.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's a really interesting place to be making work and have people pop in and chat with me, and then also try to learn some good boundaries to still make art and get the computer work done, even though people might be coming in and looking and talking and exploring. But I find in particular, it is an interesting opportunity to let people know what the work of an artist is really like. I
Hmm.
think there's a dream that it's just one person by themselves sewing or painting all day long. And I probably sew about 20% of my working time, and the other 80% of the 60 hours a week that I work, I'm either teaching or at the computer or emailing. And so
Right.
uh, figuring out some things by having my dry erase board with my to-do list behind me. Things like that are really helpful to unpack what it is, because you might dream of being an artist and then get there and think like you've been bait and switched because
Right.
it's from what you thought.
The business of being an artist. So in that 20% of your day, do you chunk it up or because this is something that I've talked about with other people for this 30 days of dopamine thing. I am very much I would love to be a marathon maker sewer. I want 8, 12 hours. I don't want to leave my little craft hole and like do anything else. But that's not realistic. So how do you handle, getting that time that you need to have in?
You and I are such kindred spirits between wanting to just sew all day and not stop, and
Yeah,
then also messaging each other at 2 a.m. It's
right?
like, this is true love. So the main time that I find to sew is sort of in between multitasking time. Later tonight, I'm going to my aunt's house for a pizza dinner. and we're going to be sewing in the evening while we watch a movie. Or
Yep.
I'll be, she won't be. And then I do a lot of teaching online, and especially in the year-long class that I'm teaching, we meet in small groups once a month for 3 hours per group. So that's 9 hours of sewing time that I
Yeah.
get while I'm watching students present their PowerPoints and while we're talking about things. Most of the times when I'm in meetings, or if someone comes in to talk to me in the studio, I
Mhm.
try to leave the computer and pick up a little something and do some stitching. So it's mainly those in between multitasking times. And then when I do so, I 100% want that marathon time. So for example, this weekend, my good friend Amanda Nadig is coming up from Chicago to hang out with me at the hotel. And
Oh,
we're
fun.
doing just a lot of sewing on Saturday and Sunday. It will be happening and we will not be distracted, hopefully, by computers.
Until the guests walk by and they're like, okay, we want to join the sewing party too.
But then when there's a sewing party, no one expects you to stop sewing. Like
Oh, that's true.
it's really great. Yeah, we're like, the more quilters that are in that room with me,
Yeah.
the more that happens.
That's like suddenly it's a do not disturb. There's
It's
fabric
a
involved.
hive of
Hmm.
activity. Yeah.
Hmm. So I mentioned that you are, you are, I like the term multi-passionate because
Mm.
I think that's a better explanation for how you exist and how I think a lot of us do things and, look at different crafts. And I'm a knitter too. I was a musician in college until my hands gave out. So like oh yeah, it's a thing. Like I put the three worst instruments for your hands are violin, piano, and flute, and I played flute and like just ended up with like little T-Rex hands and like less mobility. But when you try and practice for 4 hours a day,
Yeah.
not the
Do
best
you
thing
ever
ever.
see an occupational therapist for that?
No.
Okay. Because,
No.
oh, they work magic.
I know. I
Absolutely amazing if you can afford to go, which can be expensive, but
That's yeah, that's the thing too. And to credit to my professor, Dr. Bailey, he, that was something that was front of mind for teaching for both undergrad and graduate students is like you have to take care of your body and posture is very important, not
Mhm.
just because of the sound that's coming out of your mouth, your instrument, but because you have to take care of the whole body when you're doing these creative things. So I know from again stalking you for years that you're not only Heidi Parkes, but you also have hand yoga.
Mhm.
So how did that get started?
So it started with an injury, of course.
Oh no.
So I had been using a metal thimble, the kind
Oh
that stays on your finger. Like if I wiggled, it would
yeah,
stay on. And
right.
ultimately, that was just too tight. It was too much pressure right here. And if
Okay.
I was emptying the dishwasher and bumped my finger there, it would be shooting pain all the way up my arm. Like this was
Yeah.
a no-go activity
That's not
before in
good.
2017. And so I went to see an occupational therapist, and and it was just amazing. I finally started to get better because I had 6 months prior, I had changed my thimble. The Clover Protect and Grip silicone thimble is like my
Perfect.
lifeline.
Yeah.
But that wasn't enough to undo the damage that I had done.
Yeah.
It's from progressing. So then in occupational therapy, they would give me a lot of things to do, and you do them and you count to 10. And
Mhm.
it's just not very soul satisfying, even though it does help you feel better.
Right. Right.
And I had done my yoga teacher training in 2012 and 2014, and for those 2 years from
Mhm.
2012 till
Right.
14. And I got to thinking, maybe I could use my yoga skills to create some different flows and sequences and ways of doing things that feel a little better. So incorporating that yoga knowledge that I have with the occupational therapy information is a big part of how I thought other people need to know this. And if I am teaching, same as your professor, if
Mhm.
or your teacher, if I'm
Right.
teaching hand quilting, I need to teach people a lot more about how to care for their hands and
It's
ways to feel better.
It's true. And the other part of that too is that like I've done physical therapy off and on for years. Like my body is just going into chaos in all sorts of every directions. Um one of the reasons I was in physical therapy is because my sewing table had my knee going to a funny way and I couldn't figure out why like my
Oh,
knee was messing up when I'm not doing basketball. Like what's going on? Anyway, but
mhm,
one of the things that we talked about or somewhere else is gamification. And so, when doing all of that physical therapy stuff, it is exactly how you say it. It's like do 10 reps, wait 30 seconds, do 10 reps, wait 30 seconds. And my brain likes things to be cute and pretty and
mhm.
fun. And as good and valid as all of those things are to doing reps, I was like doing hand yoga sounds like way more fun than okay, this is my hour-long appointment and do these reps and then move on to this and use this rubber band. I was like, it's accomplish exactly what you said, accomplishing the same thing and taking care of yourself, but got to make your brain happy too.
Yeah, and even, I've got 10-minute hand yoga videos that I've made and 45 minutes.
Oh.
And you walk away from them and you feel like you've been in a yoga class. Like
Mhm.
the blood pressure, the heart rate reduces. There's a relaxation that happens that is part of yoga and not necessarily part of occupational therapy. The word yoga is about blending your mind and your body and your breath and creating a union between those three things. So
That's
when you're
perfect.
mindlessly or when you're counting and doing things, it's not the same as matching your inhale and your exhale and really feeling the
Mm.
impact of each movement. Um,
That goes along perfectly with, the whole point of this 30 days of dopamine is to include your mind in sort of healing your body and sort of resetting your nervous system and using creativity and crafting and joy and however you make, whether that's sidewalk chalk or putting a needle and thread together. So using your hand and thinking about it holistically, we're not just looking at a symptom, we are looking at the whole body. That I like that a lot. That works. I like that. That makes me happy. The other thing too, for incorporating it, I don't know about anyone else. I am a Netflix and quilt kind of person, and so that works out well too. What? Yeah, see, I was like, I need to watch the same movie for 300 times while I'm doing this thing at the same time. I will watch The Mummy over and over again. Um, I haven't.
I've watched Breaking Bad, I think 7 times, like
There you
all of
go.
Breaking Bad 7
Hmm.
times also. Yeah.
You just need it. And people are like, how can you watch that and sew? I'm like, I don't need to watch it. I know what's happening. I can now speak ancient Egyptian and do the handwork. Like it's okay. um but the other thing too, where if you are a person that has a movie on or videos or a podcast or something like that, because of the episodic nature, to quote
Mhm,
Star Trek,
mhm.
you have a time, if you're in the flow of making, sort of time loses all meaning and
Yes.
suddenly it's 2 in the morning and I'm texting Heidi. Like,
Mhm,
so if you are doing something where you can mark time with it's been 2 episodes, I need to stop, that's a perfect time to stop and take care of your body and pull up your hand yoga and be like, okay, I may be doing this really well right now, but doing things so focused and not
mhm.
allow, that repetitive motion, stress, all of those things, the knitters who get tennis elbow from knitting, all of that
Yep.
stuff is like that. I think that's a good way to include the yoga in. It doesn't have to be a special occasion. You can just put it in after an episode.
It is, and there's several techniques that I like to think about for remembering to do the hand yoga. One of them is to think about the episodes, but also I like to feel like i- a sign that I'm doing well is I can quilt for 8 hours at a time and not feel bad and not necessarily need to do, I need to go to the bathroom, whatever, but I'm not going to
Right.
be in pain after 8 hours of sewing.
Yeah.
And I can, for me, it's really hard to tear myself away from quilting. So if I start sewing, the rest of the day is over. Like I'm not stopping. It's like hitting the snooze button in the morning, but
Uh-huh. Yeah.
so I try to make a rule for myself to ideally stop working and sewing around midnight so that then I can go to sleep by 2. And one of the ways that helps me release from that, because transitional moments are hard, is to do some hand yoga. And it gets me in a
Oh,
different mindset. It helps
I like
break
that.
away. So, for example, if you have just watched The Mummy 3 times and you're like, "Ah, okay, now's the moment. I need," but like maybe you can stay sitting in your quilting chair, you can
Right.
stay with the computer set up,
Mhm.
watch a 5-minute hand yoga video, or
Yep.
even like a 23-minute one.
Yep.
Get yourself in a different mindset. Then it's a little easier to detach,
Mhm.
move away. I've found it's actually really helpful to put a link to one of my YouTube videos in a repeating calendar alarm. You know, like I can set my calendar
Oh,
for a repeating event.
that's a
Or
great
you can do it
idea.
every day, or it could be just weekends or just weekdays, depending on how your life is.
Yeah.
And that way, then the alarm comes up and it says, hey, it's 11:30. You have a goal of shifting towards sleep at
Mhm.
that time. So here's the link. All you do is click the link on the calendar reminder and it, shuffles you over to YouTube. And then
Mhm.
you can start to do some hand yoga and then move on to the next part of your day. And that sort of
That's brilliant.
habit stacking or habit snuggling of something you have to do anyways, right? You have
Yep.
to go to sleep. It's important to get yourself there.
Mhm.
And and that type of thing, no matter where it is in your day, if you're a morning person or maybe during lunch, you have a window because you got to eat. So you
True.
could snuggle the hand yoga in with that type of activity.
I love that. And we've talked to Jenny Grover and she mentioned your habit snuggling and I had not heard it before cuz we're quilters, right? I want to
Mhm.
snuggle. I was like, so my habits need to snuggle. I love that process. Thank you for explaining that. I had never thought of that before cuz it's a great I am a person where like you, I'm a night owl person and I have a problem getting my brain to shut off. But it's more, I think you're right. It's not having that transition between problem solving, doing, making, quilting, and then, oh, suddenly I really need to go to bed right now. You need that sort of transition space to not only, relax your body but relax your mind too. It's like whenever I do yoga, it's they always end with I don't remember what the real word is, but it's always corpse pose. You always need that
Oh
moment
yeah.
of rest before you
Mhm.
you go back into something. Is like, okay, just be with your body and have a moment of stillness before you
Mhm.
go out about your day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing that I like to do is to think about tools. I have a lot of videos that incorporate tools,
Mhm.
and it can be something as simple as a pen. If you
Right.
keep that in your sewing kit, right? I usually have a kit that's got the thimble and the scissors and the things that I need. And if you have a wooden dowel rod that doesn't have a multi-purpose, even better because you look at it and has only one job.
Right.
But if you have something like a pen, just rolling that between your hands
Mhm.
is amazing how relaxing it is. And to that tennis elbow end, I sometimes
Yes.
have that as a quilter, rolling something like a pen along the forearm here to break up the fascia is
Yes.
incredibly helpful. And when I see an object that is meant for that purpose, that's the kind of thing that jogs, oh yeah, I should do a little hand yoga here. And
Mhm.
when you use that habit stack, if you look up habit stacking, you'll find a lot of actual advice from habit book writing people. But for me, when I think of habit snuggling, it makes me want to do it more.
Right.
So, I'll have things like when I make my green tea, I have to wait for the kettle, and those moments of irritation and impatience, like
Mhm.
I like to say, like Stephanie Pearl McPhee, the yarn harlot, likes to say, quilting makes me patient. I don't quilt because I have
Yes. Yes.
patience. So I try to make sure that I have some hand yoga moves in mind so that
Mhm.
when I'm waiting for the kettle, I'm just gently opening and closing my hands or flexing my wrists
Yep.
or maybe doing a quick clap. Clapping is really great for circulation in the hands.
Okay.
Um, that those moments of brief impatience, or like you're brushing your teeth and could the other hand be doing a little something, or going for a walk, or especially if I'm on the treadmill or something,
Mhm.
that's really solid hand yoga time for,
Yes.
because you're, what are they doing? You're watching TV, you're
Yep.
walking, you want something for your hands.
Yep.
And
Engaging your body, engaging all of your
Mhm.
body. I love that.
Yeah.
That's so helpful. That's
Right.
now I'm gonna do well, okay. And then of course my brain immediately goes, well, now I'm gonna do everything. Okay. Moment of rest, go back to
Mhm.
this is a rest, this is a calm thing. It's like I'm immediately
Yeah.
like 60 miles an hour. It's like, nope, this is dial it back.
You can feel really proud if you just do it like one thing once a day, would
That's
be
yes.
a really great way to start. And, like, watch a video, think of what move felt the best to
Mhm.
me. Let me try to remember that move and set an intention to do that one additional time today without being prompted by
Right.
watching a hand yoga video. And, or maybe even make it like the move of the week. So all that week, you're going to try like an experiment and then see, do I notice a difference? Do I start to feel better? Or more capable, or more endurance in my hands.
This is so helpful. I'm excited. I'm gonna go check out all of the videos again. I'm going to do exactly what you said. I'm gonna find one to start out with. We're not gonna try and overdo it. That is very much my personality is 200 miles an hour. So thank you. I appreciate that. And where can everyone find you? It was like where can everyone find your art? Where can everyone
Mhm.
find your hand yoga? Where should we send them?
Yeah, I'm multi-passionate person. I've got a lot of different things going on, but everything is under Heidi Parkes. So if you can remember that Parkes is spelled Parkes, you can find me on YouTube, on Pinterest, on Instagram, on my website, all the places.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining us for 30 days of dopamine. I'm gonna go work out my hands now.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Let's wave and do hand yoga.